Hey, Sleazy P Martini here. Yes, I know, Qua. I'm the fucking manager. So, Mike and TJ have a Kiss podcast called Rip and Destroy. It's now a year old. Can you believe it? Just like any other 1 year old, it walks around knocking shit over and pissing and shitting everywhere. No surprise there. But regardless, it is 1 year old. It should be celebrated as such. Perhaps a happy birthday message would make it all really special. And yeah, this is the kind of podcast, folks, that they don't do it for the money. These are not sellouts. Nobody's buying what they're selling, but they wouldn't sell out anyways, even if there's somebody was there to buy it, which they aren't. I can tell you that right now. But I mean, come on, people. This is a transfer of enthusiasm. The Mike and TJ Kiss podcast. These guys would never sell out promoting Kiss because Gene Simmons took the money already. There's nothing left. Nothing left.
Rip and destroy.
15-year-old Mike is smiling as big as 51-year-old Mike is right now because since I was 15, my life and my destiny has been to live for Guar. Thank you, Mr. Martini. That was amazing.
Sleazy P, cheers to you, my friend.
And right behind me is my Guar shirt. It's only been worn twice, both the Guar shows, and you can see the state of it.
Nice.
I don't wear it too often because every time I do, I get attacked by the cuttlefish.
As you deserve.
Hey, everybody, welcome to a very special episode of Rip and Destroy. I'm Mike.
I'm TJ, and this is our 1 year anniversary episode. Yes, it's not only episode 25, but this actually marks 1 year that we have been ripping and destroying together. And happy anniversary, man.
Happy anniversary, happy birthday, all of that. I think after 1 year, it's safe to say that we are, in fact, Rock's chosen warriors, and we will rule the apocalypse.
I think so, and I think I think we probably have backup on that if we ask around. So yeah, man. So what we're gonna do on this episode, I think is, as a lot of you know, and maybe some of you don't, if you're joining us a little bit late in the season, Rip and Destroy podcast is actually based on a fanzine that Mike and I created way back in 1995. We created one issue. We brought it to the Kiss convention in Minneapolis. We gave it to a few of the guys in Kiss. It wound up in the oh, what is that book called? The Kiss Ultimate Fanzine Phenomenon book. And we never did another issue, although we kind of meant to for a hot minute. But the result is this podcast. So we realize that a lot of times we reference the zine. And things that we did in the zine and things that we wrote and drew and put in it. But we realize that you guys have never actually seen, other than us holding up the cover, you guys have never actually seen the zine itself. So what we're going to do for this very special 1 year anniversary episode is we are going to go through the whole zine for you guys and show off where this all started. But first, Mike, I believe you should have received a package in the mail this week. Is that correct?
That would be this one right here.
That should be the one. Yeah. I don't know if there's anything on it indicating where it came from.
It seems to have come from Braintree, Massachusetts.
Interesting.
So there's
Okay.
that.
I gave you specific instructions not to open that when it arrived until such time as we recorded this episode. Mike, please do the honors.
I'd be more than honored to crack this thing up. It has not been easy. It has not been easy, but let's see what it's like an unboxing. It's the very first Rip and Destroy unboxing
It
video.
literally is. Yeah.
All right. Every time I watch an unboxing, I'm like, they should be cutting away from themselves,
It's
not
true.
not
Yeah.
towards themselves.
Right. Yeah. That's an important PSA.
All right, what do we got? Paperwork.
Yeah. You can toss that.
All right, I love it already. Oh, check it out.
What do we got? We
It's a
get
very ornate and beautiful box of Oreos. Do I keep opening?
oh, yes. You keep opening,
Okay.
please.
Oh, it's like Christmas. I'm gonna save this for later.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just in case you should. Mom would be so proud.
No. Unbelievable. Okay, check. I gotta get a close up of this. This is
Yeah,
unreal. How do I even eat these?
you can. Custom rip and destroy logo Oreos, my friend.
That right there is a custom rip and destroy Oreo. Unbelievable. I love it. Thank you.
You are so welcome.
It's man, literally perfect. I, I got to save at least one. I will house the rest of them, of course.
Yes, please do. Enjoy.
So it's a literary episode of Rip and Destroy, ladies and gentlemen.
It is.
It's like an unboxing and a book on tape, all wrapped into, and a cooking show, all wrapped into
Yeah.
one.
You know why?
I think I have an idea, but why don't you tell us?
Because we're givers, man.
There it is. Oh man. Hey, before we jump into the actual zine, I thought it might be fun to just take a minute and maybe for people who didn't grow up in the same scene that we did, just to kind of unpack what zines meant to, music culture back then and what they meant to us just growing up. Because the Midwest, Green Bay Appleton had a real, kind of punk rock, do it yourself, ethos to it, and
Mhm.
had a great scene, really great music scene, and it was really inspiring to be surrounded by people who would just put together bands, book their own shows, promote their own shows, and put zines together. And it's just, people were creative and they put some muscle behind it, and they did great things. And it was fun to be a part of it. It was fun to start zines. I know you have a lot more experience with zines than I did. But from time to time, I would get asked to contribute different articles to zines, and
Mhm.
like Hopscotch and Quetzalcoatl and Dudley Visits the Dentist. And these are things that weren't even sold. They were kind of handed out in the hallways of school.
Right.
And they'd have some show reviews and you know, some politics and some poetry, whatever the case may be. It was just cool that people would actually take the time to compile all of this content and take it down to, the photocopy store and just start running copies and staple them together. So zines were very important to the whole scene back then, and I still have a handful of them from back in the day. So, how did you first get into zines?
I mean, just being a little art nerd and a little creative dork, ever since I was a little kid, I've always been making my own little books and stapling them together and
Yeah.
making my own comics and magazines and books and what have you. And so yeah, I mean, fanzines ended up being like even before I started with the big one that I was known for, which was Chamber of Sorrow, which was a death metal fanzine that some friends and I started in high school, and that ran from about 1990. 90 or 91 to like 96, something like that. Even before that, I was, like I said, making my own comic books, photocopying them, selling them at the comic store for a buck each or something like that. So I'd always been a do-it-yourself kind of guy. And so, yeah, as the years went on and I was doing the metal zine and contributing to some of my friends' zines, some of my buddies made some dumb little comedy fanzines and whatnot. Yeah, I think it was just natural for you and I as the Kiss fans that we were hanging out on the couch eating Chinese food, watching Kiss bootlegs and Gene Simmons movies. We would sit and comment on things constantly, and we'd kind of make fun of some stuff, and we'd share our opinions on stuff. And eventually, we said, you know what, let's just slap together a zine ourselves. It was just so natural for us, not just being Kiss fans, but also, like you said, underground music and subculture fans. And yeah, fanzines, man, and people are still making them. As a matter of fact, I'm still making them. I don't know if anybody realizes. I also one of my side gigs is I have a retro video gaming blog called Retro Game Super Hyper, and a companion piece to that blog is a fanzine also called Retro Game Super Hyper, which you can actually order and buy online. But we're veering off into different territory here. But yeah, all that to say, yes, fanzines have always been important to subcultures, but even fanzines dedicated to like mainstream culture, like Kiss. There's a million Kiss fanzines, obviously, as evidenced by the fact that there's a whole book about them. And there's, fanzines about other bands, and there's fanzines about comic books and movies, and all that to say, yes, it was only natural for us to start Rip and Destroy fanzine, as it was definitely the culture that we were immersed in. And so there was pretty much no way we weren't going to have a Rip and Destroy fanzine. I just regret that we never made it to issue two.
Two, three, and four, because if I remember, the original idea was to do a run of four with, obviously four different members, four different colored covers, and that was
Yes,
going to be it.
at least 4 to 6.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
right.
exactly.
Right, because the first cover, as you can see, is red with Gene. We're going to do Paul in purple and Ace in blue and Peter in green. And then if we still had ideas for two more episodes or two more issues. It was going to be gold, Vinny cover and an orange Eric cover, but yeah, we never made it to issue two, so that never happened.
These went for a buck, but the Vinny one would probably have gone for far much more.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. We'd have to sell the pages individually though.
Well, yeah, and like you said, it came together really organically because we'd hang out, we'd eat a lot of Chinese food, like you said, back in the days when it had MSG, and it was absolutely amazing. And I think at one point it's like, hey, we should do a zine. And it stood out because there was a lot of punk rock zines, there was a lot of political zines and anarchist zines and death metal zines. But, back in 1995, rock and roll and heavy metal wasn't really something that a lot of people were excited about. So it definitely stood out. We found our niche. And the podcast was the exact same thing. It was probably the same conversation. Like, hey, we should do a podcast. Your
It
idea. Great
100
idea.
it yeah, 100% was because it for years after we did issue one, we said we should get around to doing issue two, and we didn't. And then honestly, we have been talking about starting Rip and Destroy for years before we actually did it. And it was always going to be the Rip and Destroy podcast. It was always going to be the continuation of the zine in podcast form until, whatever happened last year. You and I were both in desperate need of something to do, and we finally just said, "Fuck it, let's do it."
Hi ho! Not everybody, but just Mike and TJ. Just rip and destroy. You guys are great. In all seriousness, I feel as though Rip and Destroy is kind of a parallel Fido and Powie. It's the show that we would do.
If we could.
I feel that Rip and Destroy is the podcast we'd be doing if we were a little more on the ball. So, big thanks to Mike and TJ for really knocking it out of the park every week.
Happy anniversary, guys.
We love your sense of humor. I love the fact that Mike's got a stretch monster behind him in one of the episodes. Don't think I didn't notice.
And I love your laugh.
I love the sparkle in your eyes. What else can be said? Great job, guys. Do it for another year, at least.
2 años.
Happy anniversary from...
Hey, man! Nice kiss shirt!
Rip and Destroy!
There's no better way to get started than the cover. The cover is amazing. It's your artwork. It's absolutely brilliant. Was this your first idea for this? Kind of talk us through it because the cover is perfect.
Yeah, I guess pretty much. I mean, I was like 1995. I was still maybe considering being a comic book artist, and that was a career choice that I was kind of aiming for a while. Actually, by 95, I think that was probably dwindling. But yeah, as you can see, it's very comic book styled. It's actually kind of, I think, inspired by Sam Keith, the comic book artist, who actually, as of right now, just a week or two ago, he passed away, unfortunately.
Mm.
So, but you can definitely tell his influence in this. Yeah, I was just going for just kind of an extreme version of Gene. He's got too much hair. He's got too many spikes. There's too much blood. He's got too many angles and too many curves. And yeah, it's just that's all. I really just wanted to kind of make a crazy extreme version of Gene for the cover. And I can't imagine what the Paul and Ace and Peter ones would have looked like, but they would have been in the same vein.
And what about the world-renowned Rip and Destroy logo?
I don't know. I think I scribbled it and slapped it together. I don't think I put a whole lot of thought into it.
I just have to say, if you ever have a chance to hang out with TJ and go grab a burger or something, this is the kind of stuff he literally just doodles on napkins. And then he wants to throw them away, and I'm like, oh no, no, no. That's coming home with me. True story.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, the cover, Rip and Destroy, $1, summer '95, issue one. It's got Gene on the cover, and then the back cover is just a blown up version of the same thing with little Rip and Destroy in the corner. So yeah, then we're just into the front cover there. We are it's just kind of it's called an intro. It's just kind of our letter from the editor, the little greetings, welcome to the first issue of Rip and Destroy. We talk about what big Kiss nerds we are, and kind of how we got into Kiss a little bit, and we even mentioned the death metal zine that I had experience in, but also your writing for other other various underground zines. So yeah, just a little intro to us, a little intro to the zine, and then it's got our old addresses
Yeah,
from the from where we lived with our parents.
that's my P.O. box, but I was living with my parents when I had a P.O. box.
Right. Probably a good idea. Yeah, and then the next page is just the contents where we've got all the articles laid out. So what are the articles that we had? There was an intro, which we just went over. But there was Mike's editorial and then TJ's editorial. And then we had a number of features. We had In Defense of the Elder, the Gene Simmons Armored Workout, an article called Encore,
A
and an
very
article
important
called
article
It
called
was.
Encore. Yeah.
It was. And a feature called Before the Con. And then we had three departments. I'm not sure. I guess this was, I think the departments were probably things that were going to be recurring in future issues, whereas the features were unique, features to
Oh, of
each
course.
issue. So the departments were Kiss Slop, and that's with two P's, reviews, and in this case it was video, and then the preview of the next issue.
Love it. Before we move on, though, there's one piece I want to share. We're not going to read through everything, although
No.
I took some pictures. You could zoom in if you want. But one thing that kind of just set up this whole project was, talking about the title Rip and Destroy, that it's a reflection of the zine's approach to Kiss fandom. We're going to have a little fun at Kiss's expense, but it's done in such a way that you just know, whoa, that we worship Kiss as gods among men. We're going to talk about stuff that only two guys who are in way over their heads would know. There it is.
Yeah, and I will also point out that we were 21 when we made this. I fully admit it was a little sycophantic. We were licking the boots a little bit, but what do you do when you're a kid?
When I was flipping through it today, I'm like, we haven't changed at all.
Uh,
I mean,
oh, I don't know. I think we've become a little more cynical, and
that, you know,
I mean, we made fun of them, but I think we're a little more apt to call them on their bullshit these days.
this is true. This is
But
true.
that brings us actually right into our first feature, which is your editorial entitled "Tough Love."
Hmm.
Why the hottest band in the land lost me in the 80s. And we you had a few things to say about Kiss's 80s output. I do want to point out, even though that is an article about 80s Kiss, we have some nice shots of Paul and Peter and a Kiss Army logo. And I just, the one thing I love is just, the shitty photocopying, man. No, I love that. That's such a great zine aesthetic, the real grainy, a couple generations old. This was probably copied out of a magazine and then cut out to fit the page and then copied again. And it's a couple generations of photocopies old and, it's kind of blurry and grainy and shitty looking. And man, I just love that.
I agree. I agree. I just like the way it feels, it
Yeah.
takes me back. So basically, this article just kind of walks through the middle of my Kiss fandom, non-fandom, like fandom to non-fandom to fandom again. I talk about, how they were superheroes to me growing up, but then I just kind of lost touch. And a lot of that was, I was made for loving you and some of the stuff that came out in the 80s, and we've talked about that, the mid 80s stuff. But then it comes around and it says that brings us to revenge. This LP makes me feel like a proud father. Welcome back.
Yeah.
And that really was the record that got me back on track. And that was followed up, of course, by Alive 3, which is a really badass record. And yeah, I love it as much today as I did back in 1995. So a little tough love, but there it is.
And, I think after, 40 years having passed since the music of the 80s, I think we've come to appreciate it on its own level. And I don't even necessarily know that any of this really applies anymore because we do appreciate a lot of the 80s output for what it is. I think we were so hyped on the Kiss 70s nostalgia that I feel I guess we felt we had to make this statement. I also want to point out that at the bottom of the first page is the first of a tiny little running joke throughout the
Yep.
throughout the issue. If you look way down there, it says Kiss. That's the name. I wonder where that's going.
And before we turn the page, one thing I want to point out too, which is actually really cool, is I start off the article talking about this theory that you had. And this is back in the day, before Kiss had ever reunited. So your theory was that if you can imagine the original guys in makeup playing the song, it's a good song, judging the mid 80s stuff. And what's interesting about that, looking back on it now, we've actually seen the guys in makeup playing some of these songs, like Heaven's on
Hmm.
Fire and,
Yeah,
Tears Are Falling and stuff like that. And that's pretty
and it
cool.
worked.
Yeah, it did.
It worked great. So I think my theory kind of holds a little bit of water. I think I second guessed it right after we published it, but that's actually one of the things that I really liked about like the farewell tour and some of those like the Seiko Circus. When I loved seeing Ace and Peter playing Heaven's on Fire or Lick It Up, despite what you may think about those songs live, because we've talked about that a couple of times already, that novelty was always really cool to me.
Well, I'm just going to take a step back and let you talk about the next article because that's all you,
Sure.
man.
Sure, yeah. Well, the next one is my editorial. It's a another two-pager, and it's called "I Was a Four-Year-Old Kiss Army Soldier," and that was just kind of me talking about, oh, me getting into Kiss at a very, very early age, stealing my older sister's records, and I also talk about a little bit about how I kind of dropped my fandom in the late '80s. Like you, Revenge kind of brought me back in Alive 3, and again, the nostalgic renaissance kept on trucking. The best part of my editorial, though, was this drawing in the middle here, and that was a folder that I had in first grade that I drew that I drew Kiss on. Big wonky Kiss logo, some little faces that are somehow Kiss, and I also was amused by the fact that this being an article about how I was a childhood Kiss Army soldier, and I had I copied this old promo image of Gene with a child-sized coffin.
I don't know if that's the best or the worst picture you could put on that article.
Well, it was deliberate. I'll tell you that it was definitely deliberate. Again, then just kind of professing our continued love for the band despite our checkered past.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, what sounded like a knock.
Somebody at the door?
I don't know. You better check.
Is that Mike and TJ from the Kiss podcast, Rip and Destroy? It's Mark Skippy Price. Okay, Mark Ragman Price from the Trick or Treat movie with Ozzy Osbourne and Gene Simmons from Little Bad. Which one it was? I think it's called Kiss. And so I'm wishing you guys a happy 1 year. That's so awesome. And no false metal. And it's obligatory. I do that. And then let's see. Is my dog's here too? Do you have anything to add? He's more excited than he lets on, okay? So here we are in the Hollywood Hills. It's 95 degrees. Talk about climate change. I haven't been this hot since 1987. That's a little joke for you. All right, guys. Love your guts. Check me out, Mark at ijoke.com. ijoke.com. There's the site. You'll see where I'll be. And let's meet up and love your guts. That's the opposite of hate your guts. It's a very loving, positive thing.
It wouldn't be a party without Ragman.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Oh man,
Thank you, Skippy.
all my dreams are coming true. I kid you
Oh,
not. This is amazing.
I can't believe Ragman stopped by. The Ragman himself, Mark Skippy Price. That's
Can you
incredible.
can you imagine the green room? You got Sleazy on one couch and Skippy on the other.
Oh my God. I hope craft services are good back there.
Oh man, I love it.
Oh,
Thank you, Mr. Price.
thank
Amazing.
you so much.
Amazing. Which brings us to In Defense of the Elder. Now it's funny too because we've been talking about how pretty soon we're going to be doing a whole episode on the Elder, and that's been something we've been, talking about and chewing on for quite some time. So even back then, we saw a lot in this record that apparently other people didn't. And I think one of the coolest things too is the graphic that you found for the picture, which was so back in the day you couldn't Photoshop anything. So getting the hand and the knocker without, the wood behind it was an accomplishment.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how I did that. I might have been, I honestly don't remember exactly where I got this image, but it did come out good.
Well,
So yeah, and actually, I did write this article in Defense of the Elder, and now it's also funny because there have been I don't know how many Kiss podcasts already that have talked about sticking up for the elder and how, examining the elder, and a lot of people nowadays do come to the defense of the elder. But we did it back in '95, and we just listed off a few. And we just listed off a few reasons that we thought the Elder was, a worthwhile addition to the Kiss catalog, and maybe examined a few of the reasons why it didn't do so well, other than the fact that It was a complete change of style. But we listed, Bad Timing. We figured that it kind of flopped because, it came out after, Dynasty and Unmasked, and Kiss was kind of in a nadir of their career. We said that it was actually a cool concept. The idea was good,
Mhm.
just that the execution may not have been so great, and that the songs actually were good. I point out, I'd like somebody to tell me what the hell's wrong with Dark Light, The Oath, Under the Rose, Mr. Blackwell, Escape from the Island. They're great songs. So yeah, not everyone is a banger on The Elder. We know that, but there is some good stuff on there, and I think everybody, these days agree with that. And also just, I appreciate personally when you don't always like it when the band does the weird album, but I do
Yeah.
appreciate any artist that does take a risk. It doesn't always work. A lot of times they fall on their face and go scurrying back to where they were before that. But I'm never mad. As a creative person myself, I'm never mad when somebody decides to try to explore something a little bit different. And when you've got however many other Kiss albums to choose from, if there's one that's weird, eh, take a look at it, and if you don't like it, listen to the other 19.
Right, right, exactly. And like you said, it's just nice when somebody takes a swing, whether they hit or not. And sometimes they do. I think Elder's definitely a swing and a hit. Then you have like Bad Religion, Into the Unknown. Good luck finding that one. It's probably on YouTube. And then, of course, the next record was Back to the Known because it really, really, really did not work. It was Bad Religion doing basically like a Foreigner record. But hell, they tried, so I got to give them credit for that. But
Right.
the best thing about this whole entire zine, if you ask me, is this cartoon. I'm going to throw it up right now. I'm going to leave it there for a minute because this is funny as hell. And I'm pretty damn sure that this is the page that Eric was looking at, Eric Singer, when he cracked it open and said, "Did Gene see this? He's going to love this." Well done, my friend.
Thank you. I am actually still, after 30 years, pretty proud of that joke. And then there's one more thing in this article, and that is the second little breadcrumb at the bottom of the page. Kiss. They may look insane.
Something we were able to find without the benefit of YouTube.
Right.
And then the
Uh,
next one, we've touched on this before, but it's probably something we should mention in every episode. That's the Gene Simmons armored workout, codpiece not included. So we
right.
may have changed over the last 30 years, but we haven't matured any. We're still talking about the damn codpiece.
Well, I have a cod piece now, so it can be included. Should I decide to execute the Gene Simmons armored workout? We did talk about this on one of our episodes, and that is simply the old Gene Simmons move of doing this on stage. He would do this during a couple of different songs, whatever, "Do You Love Me," and I don't know what other songs he did on some of them. But yeah, we had a little diagram set up of how to actually do the workout. I don't know how many calories it burns or anything like that. And then there was on the overleaf, I did do an illustration of a few different Gene costumes and a few different variations of said stage move, so that you too can participate in the Gene Simmons workout.
And different bases too. Love those.
I did, yeah. Look at that. Historically accurate, I believe. But then the best thing about the Gene Simmons armored workout was that we got him to do it at the 95 convention.
Yeah, we
Uh,
did.
because we were in the audience doing this like nonstop, like trying to get him to look at us. Well, and then finally during Come On and Love Me,
Yes.
at one point he looked over at us and gave us a couple of these. So
And he laughed when he did it because back then
yeah.
he wasn't doing it at all. It had been a
No,
minute.
it was such a weird 70s Gene move. I don't know that he did it past 79 or something, but it was all over the videos. And obviously in a room of 750 Kiss dorks, you've got some people who pick up on stuff like that. So
Yeah, he did it and he smiled, but he's probably thinking, "You buy bootlegs, you son of a bitch."
you're right. Following that is an article by Mike entitled Encore. Do you want to tell us what that one pager is all about there, my friend?
I love to. I think it's pretty much understood at this point that this was the article that got them to reunite in 1996, and I take a lot of pride in
Definitely.
that. I really do.
Definitely, definitely.
And that really was the point. If you're old enough to remember what music was like in the 90s, it got really boring. The 80s was just a lot of pomp and lights and blood and fog and chaos and cocaine and whatever. And then the pendulum swung. And in the 90s, everything was really stripped down. It was it got kind of boring, to be honest.
It did.
And no stage show, no, showmanship and whatever. So I started off just talking about, how boring music had become and how that was the exact same thing that was happening before Kiss came to be, because they talk about how prior to that there was a lot of bands like Supertramp and what have you that would just jam on forever and it got boring, and music at that point needed a kick in the ass. And I felt like we were in the same position back in the 90s. So, and I talked about how when I was growing up, rock and roll was fun, man. It was dangerous. Ozzy worshiped the devil, and Gene had
Hmm.
a cow's tongue and whatnot. And it didn't make for great music all the time, but damn it, it was fun.
Right.
So, with that in mind, who better to do it again than the band that did it the first time, and that's Kiss. I said we need Kiss, quite literally. And then just asking them to do it one more time, to give music, to give rock and roll a kick in the ass, and make it fun again, the way it was supposed to be. It's time for the rest of the music world to watch and learn, because Kiss will save music again. And yes, this is prophetic in a sense, because they did. As Paul says, music is like sex. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And sex in the backseat of a car was, to my knowledge, never supposed to be boring. So there it
Right, because you
is.
pointed out that rock and roll was named after having sex in a car. So,
Yeah, I did, yeah.
yeah.
And heavy metal, I'm not sure about that one, but
Yeah.
yeah, so I feel good about I think Encore would have been a cool name for the tour, to be honest, but
True, but
it's
yeah, like you said, it was definitely prophetic because, as we would like to think, influential. Because actually a lot of the points that you make in this article are things that Kiss, especially Gene, said during, like, say, the press conference when they announced the reunion tour. When he said, we're going to show all the bands out there how the big boys do it. I mean, this is what he was talking about. They went on in interviews about how they were sick of seeing bands that looked like they just rolled out of bed and got up on stage without any, presentation, without any show. And
yeah.
this is exactly what they were talking about. But that was at least a year after you wrote this article. So take it for what you will, guys. But we like to think that Rip and Destroy was a lot more influential than you may think, especially considering nobody ever saw this fucking thing.
Well, it's not how many people read it, it's who read
That's right.
it. Yeah.
All right. So at this point, we reached the center of the magazine. We are already halfway through, and we have reached Kiss Slop. Yes, folks, Kiss Slop, which, as we wrote, were ramblings too mental to put anywhere else. Can only be Kiss Slop. We've got a picture of the Kiss Migo dolls on there, and it's basically what it is. It's just some rando comments that we have been known to make. I think while we were talking about Kiss or watching Kiss shows or bootlegs or hanging out listening to Kiss records or whatever, I think occasionally we'd say something dumb, and I'd be like, "We got to write that down." So that's the center spread, and then the next couple of pages is just more of the same. It's a bunch of little what do we have? Kiss Collector's Corner. So we have this is the next couple of pages here. A couple more little cartoons in the footage from San Francisco 74, the Winterland. There's a point in Parasite where Peter's digging something out of his ear, and we're wondering what it is and how much it's worth.
We're also thinking we want to spend a little money on Gene's ABP, which is how much for some of Gene's already been puked blood.
Right.
Remember to take into consideration the vintage, song, and where it was puked. And another thing
Right. You
too,
could
it's
you could have a you could you I mean there these are important questions. You could have a Gene Simmons blood sommelier who can recognize, the vintage and the location from where it was, where, what vineyard it came from.
he said it was a 75, but that was clearly an 86.
Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah.
I like this.
Um,
I like this too. It says, "What is the value of a smear of makeup off one of their faces?" And it's funny because if you haven't seen it, there's this fantastic video on YouTube of Gene and Sophie Simmons, and Gene's talking through the whole process of putting on the makeup, which I think is absolutely fascinating.
that's
But
such a
while
great video.
but while he's doing it, he's putting the makeup on Sophie. It's a dad and a daughter, and they're having a blast. And you're seeing the makeup kind of come to life. But all the while, he's putting it on with Q-tips, and he's throwing them on the floor. And I'm like, damn, I want one of those Q-tips. So I don't know why they didn't like put those in a little tube and sell those, because I mean, I'm in.
Well, and the funny thing is, okay, this sounds silly and it sounds, again, a little sycophantic, but I mean, there are insane Elvis fans out there who have, one of Elvis's bandanas framed on their wall because it's got some of his sweat on it.
Yeah.
Because he toweled off and threw it in the audience, and somebody caught it, and they've saved it for the last 50 years. So I mean, this is not really all that out there, if
I,
you
I've ac-
ask me.
I've actually heard of people combing through the carpet at Graceland looking for toenail clippings. True story.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. So a little ABP blood or whatever Pete was digging out of his ear. I mean, that's I don't think that's out of line.
Not at all. But toenails, that's weird. But
Yeah. Well, and speaking of being prophetic, next little section here is Kiss stuff we'd like to see. Oh, by the way, there's a little cartoon of some ABP blood up there. I don't know if you noted that. So the next section of Kiss stuff we'd like to see. Speaking of prophetic, we nailed a couple of these, bro.
yeah, we did.
First one, bring back confetti during Rock and Roll All Night.
You're welcome.
I mean, not only did they put on the makeup, but they brought back the show too, so you're welcome. Gene should puke blood before Unholy. Have you seen the Rock the Nation video?
Love
You're
it.
welcome. Remember, 1995, you guys. 95. We called it. Eraldo Carregati, the artist of the Kiss solo album covers, as well as Rush's Fly By Night, solo LP style portraits of Eric Carr and Vinnie Vincent. At this point, I had not realized that he actually did do one of Eric when he joined the band.
Hmm.
I didn't even know that existed at this point. However, he escaped the fate of having to paint Vinnie Vincent. So there was also a book called Paul Stanley's Guide to Meeting Women, which kind of reminds me of that kid from John Cusack's little brother from Better Off Dead when he ordered that book about how to pick up sleazy women. And then John or Lane is his character's name. He opens his brother's door and he's like just surrounded by girls and everything, and it's apparently worked. Uh, and then the My Life as a Kiss Guitarist book or booklet or article or essay or pamphlet or paragraph or sentence by Mark St. John.
Oh, Mark. Mark
Oh,
Mark
poor
gets it a
Mark.
couple he gets it a couple times in this
He
one.
does get a couple times, but we at the time we were not speaking ill of the dead, so rest in peace, Mark. Oh, we've got a couple Kiss things that we wish we had. Get a
One
little
of
wish list
which,
there,
speaking of sycophantic, one of which for me was Gene's monster boot print on my face.
right? Which is pictured there in
And my hair was
another
longer back
cartoon.
then,
Your
so
hair
there you
was
go.
longer back then and kind of curly.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yep. So you would have gladly had him smush your face with his boot. Let's see. Well, and I wished for Gene's Destroyer outfit. I've got one of those.
That came true.
Yeah. Uh, I still wish I had one of Ace's flashing Les Pauls, though. Boy,
As there's still time.
yeah, there is.
Yeah,
All right, and then what else then the following page is okay, this one's called my True Confession Corner, where okay, God, this is so nerdy.
This
So,
sets you apart from every other Kiss fan
uh,
ever.
and I don't know how proud I am of it, is the thing. So what I noticed and pointed out in this article, if you open up Alive, right, and you look at all the little notes that are handwritten by the guys in Kiss, you'll notice in Ace's note where he writes, "If you're good, you get off every time." What I noticed was that the your, as in the possessive contraction, you are, while you apostrophe re. If you look at that word as printed in Alive, the apostrophe and the e are in a very, very, very slightly different color, leading me to believe that he made the mistake of writing Y-O-U-R, and the graphic designer, whoever it was, Dennis Wallock or whoever may have been working on that album, caught it and corrected it on film, which led to it being a slightly different color when it went to print. Kill me now.
Okay, wait. Let's do the math. We have an unboxing video. We have a book on tape. Now we have a conspiracy theory. I'm going to file this right behind Dress to Kill being a concept record. But it's true. Look at it close.
It's true.
You'll see it. Yeah.
Look at it. And it's I'm sorry, but it's my background as an artist and a graphic designer. I tend to notice these things and oh God.
I tend to doubt it because I can't imagine Ace misspelling anything, to be honest. So
No, 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 no. Sorry. That's where we differ. And then at the bottom of that page, we have other things to look closely at. And we do point out Eric and Bruce cut and pasted on the cover of the Exposed video, which we just talked about in our last episode. And also Oh yes, in the movie Never Too Young to Die, when Gene leans into the camera and says Stargrove, and it looks just like when he says Star Child in Phantom of the Park, which we pointed out on the Gene Goes to the Movies episode several episodes ago.
I could see
Oh,
hanging out with these guys.
yeah, these guys are dorks. I did forget to point out the third little breadcrumb, by the way, on the previous page.
Mm.
Kiss, if rocks your game.
So if you turn the page, we've got some of our favorite Kiss quotes and three more comics that TJ did. And one of the comics is perfect because it says, I'm not a lead guitar player, I'm the trout player, Ace in 79.
Yep,
And one of
and
my all-time, there it is,
we've got Ace playing a trout, smoking too, smoked trout.
Smoking Trout with the boots. And one of my all-time favorite Paul quotes, I have no idea where or when he's, oh no, it's in History actually. Believe me, you haven't lived until you put on wet leather clothes. So there's that.
Yep. And we also mentioned, I think he said this on the Tom Snyder interview. I fantasize about being a mass crime fighter. This is as close as I can get to it. And we've got a little superhero pose for Paul there in cartoon form. And then what is it? Have a couple of questions that we'd like to ask Kiss. The page after that is one of my actually favorite pages in the zine, and we're not even making fun of anything.
True. But do you hear something? The door.
Now what?
Hey, it's been a year since you called your friend and got the party started.
A year of rock and rolling all night and waiting for the podcast to load to Spotify.
1 year later, and you still shout it out loud, ripping into Kiss.
Sharing what you love and never destroying the heart behind it.
Yay!
We're so
I'm so
proud of you
proud of
guys.
you.
Congratulations. Happy 1 year anniversary.
Happy 1 year anniversary. You guys rock.
It's not really an anniversary without the Wives of Rip and Destroy.
They've made their triumphant return, and we love them for it. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, ladies. Indeed. Yeah, this was straight from my heart, man. Is back then, so back in the day before there was before there was email, you would write letters to bands that you liked, and you wouldn't dream in a million years that they'd ever see it. If you got a reply, it was probably just a form letter or, an assistant or something like that. But sometimes you just got to shoot your shot, man. So this came right from my heart. It said, a letter to Peter Chris. Dear Peter, everything I get out of life, I get while I'm playing drums. And for me, it all started when I saw you on a Kiss trading card. I just wanted to say thank you. Another great comic. And I got that card right here, as a matter of fact.
Oh, do you?
I do. There it is.
There's the one.
That's the card. I got it when it first came out, and I put it on my lamp in my bedroom, and I just stared at it. It looked magic to me. And so, yeah, that was just straight from the heart, not really taking the piss out of anything, just wanting to get that out there because it meant a lot to me. It still does. And I'm just very grateful that, I had the chance to tell them in person. That meant a lot too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, nothing, can't make fun of that at all. But I am actually very proud of the cartoon of the Catman chasing a giant ball of yarn.
The ball of yarn is amazing. I have no idea how you did that. It's incredible.
Thank you. All right, and then finishing up the last couple pages of Kiss Slop, we have one of our favorite games, which you may have noticed us playing. Yes, this is another thing that we have brought back from the zine. We've got a page of Kiss song, LP, and title hybrids. Yes, you've heard us play this game on episode 8 and episode 18. There's a pattern there for those of you who are paying attention. We just took song titles and started mashing them together and making them work, like Let Me Go Rock and Roll All Night and Hotter Than Hell in the Shade.
Burn, Beth, burn, and I still love it loud. This is the stuff that we would do in the car,
Uh-huh.
basically.
And we came up with King of the Creatures of the Crazy, Crazy Nighttime World, which we have actually expanded on since then.
Yes,
Which is, I think it's now King of the Creatures of the Crazy, Crazy Nighttime World Without Heroes. And I
comma,
think actually,
is that you?
I was going to say, I think I've actually come up with an expanded version of that. I have to see if I have it written down. But yeah, so this is a game that we like to play.
We encourage you to play along at home too. Leave a comment with your
Absolutely,
favorite hybrid.
absolutely. Yep, and so another cartoon down there of Ace in a UFO flying towards planet Ace Freely Head, I guess. I don't.
I love it. Very cool. Well, you mentioned one of your favorite pages. The next page is definitely one of mine. It was clever. It was fun. The picture's amazing, and I've not yet colored mine, but
Me neither.
it could happen.
It's a line drawing of Bruce Kulick. And I encourage you kids to get your black and red and silver crayons out and give them some makeup. Yes, you can come up with your own Bruce Kulick makeup. Hopefully, it's better than the fans who have made that dog makeup for him or whatever. I've
Yep.
seen. Yeah, it's pretty terrible. You are more than encouraged to scribble in your copy of Rip and Destroy, um, and get creative, man. Give Bruce some makeup.
I was in
How's
fun
that?
with it.
How's that Oreo?
Ripalicious. The logo's chewy. It's really good.
Oh, good.
I saw this today and I'm like, how could we do the whole episode on the VHS tapes and not revisit the article that we wrote 30 years ago saying the same damn thing?
Did we? I didn't even. So okay. So yes. The next section is this video review article where we reviewed all of the official Kiss VHS tapes that were out at the time, which I believe went through the Kiss My Ass video. And I did not look at this article before we did our. It was just our last episode, 24, when we did the Kiss VHS reviews. So yeah, episode 24 came straight out of the pages of Rip and Destroy, but I didn't read this before
Mm-mm.
we did the episode, so I don't know if it came out of the pages of Rip and Destroy. Did you?
I did not read it, and
Okay.
it's fun to go back and see that we were thinking some of the same things, of course. And
Yeah.
you would asked the question on the last episode, how did we grow up okay in light of all the overwhelming misogyny that was
Right.
around in the 80s? But even back then, when we're 21 years old, you pointed out in Exposed that the fun with women shtick gets really old fast. So
Oh yeah.
that's very cool.
Sure enough.
Very cool.
Yeah. Even as a horny 21-year-old, I'm like, dudes, enough.
And here's the thing. Okay, we made some promises in this one, and I think we need to make good. So at the bottom of the next page, it says next issue bootlegs part one,
Yeah.
right there.
hmm
It's got to be an episode.
I guess it does. We promised it 30 years ago, 31 years ago. Yeah, you're right. We got to make good.
And then next we have the article before the con. And if you remember from episode number one a year ago, we talked about we did this specifically. Well, we did it because we wanted to do a zine, but the timing was perfect because we were about to go to the KISS convention.
Hey, were you
And
there?
I was there. Yeah. Were you there?
Well, I don't have the t-shirt to prove it, but
Well, I don't have to show you the back if you were there.
if
And
anybody knows the t-shirt, they know what we're talking about.
the original idea was that we were going to like set it up. Like, what are we hoping to find? What are we hoping to see? What
Mhm.
questions do we want to ask? And what songs do we want to request? And the idea was in issue number two, the Paul issue, we'd give a review and we'd kind of circle back and tie a bow on that, which I guess we did with the episode we did on the convention.
Yeah, yeah, we pretty much did. This was interesting because it does give a little insight as to like where our heads were at. Being excited before the Kiss convention in '95. So yeah, we had a few things that we were looking for. We were hoping to find like an Eric Carr drumstick or some autographs, and I was looking for the second series of trading cards, which I still have not found.
Mm.
Maybe the dolls, some minty fresh vinyl copies of some of the old albums. I remember the dealer's room being a little underwhelming at the Minneapolis show. I didn't remember there being a whole lot of stuff.
The dealer's room, they were limited to only official stuff. They weren't allowed to sell any boots at all, obviously.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was a little
But
lean.
even so, there wasn't a whole lot of like memorabilia or, anything like that. Like if you were looking for an Eric Carr drumstick, that wasn't
Right.
happening. So,
And the
um,
prices were outrageous. I remember we brought the Kiss collector pricing guide
yeah,
and we were looking at the Gene Migo doll and it was like $750 and I'm
yeah.
trying to reference the actual price in the book and the guy's like, "Yeah, that book's nonsense." I'm like, "Is it though?"
Well, of course you're going to say that. And I
Yep.
definitely remember like there were a few albums there, and in '95 somebody was trying to get $30 for Love Gun, and that was absurd.
Yeah.
Nowadays you could probably get that for a nice mint copy of Love Gun, but in '95, no, that was like an $8 record all day long. So,
Right, right. And then
yeah,
people
things
would
are a
buy
little out of hand.
and then people would buy Love Gun and then have Eric sign it, Eric Singer. And I'm like, really? That had to feel weird.
Yeah.
That's strange. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not, I mean, yeah, people still do that, but I guess I'm not gonna tell you what to do with your stuff. Let's see. You were gonna request Sweet Pain
oh yeah,
if you got to do a song request for the Unplugged set, and I wanted to hear All the Way or Almost Human. So
nice.
no favorites. had a couple of questions that we were maybe going to ask, and at the end, there's another little cartoon of Gene puking blood going blah.
I think the questions are kind of fun. My questions were, where would the band be today if you'd never taken the makeup off? And what 5 songs did the mighty Eric Carr have to learn for his audition?
You
Can
know,
you hear it?
I think I actually heard that somewhere.
Hmm.
There was like which 2 or 3 songs they had Eric play. And I was gonna write it down or I was gonna send you the link and I completely forgot. But I think that information is actually out there if you look. Yeah, what was I gonna ask? Oh, I was gonna say why'd you change the cover of the Creatures of the Night? Because, they had at that point you couldn't get the original blue Faces cover anymore. And now I understand marketing a little more than I did when I was 21. I kind of get it. And then I was gonna ask Gene if any of the rumors were true about having surgery on his tongue, whether that was having his frenulum cut or having a cow tongue a transplant, which I knew were not true, but I really wanted to see what his answer would be.
We could find out in Vegas in September.
Yeah, yeah, we could. And failing all that, I was going to ask him how many licks it took to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop.
Oh
So
man.
with that, that pretty much brings us to the end of the issue. We've got the inside back cover where we preview what's going to be in the mythical issue 2 that never happened. As you said, we were going to do a con report. We were going to review the KISS convention, and we were going to review the history book because we both got our copies
Right.
of and that was when it was pretty new and fresh and cost $150 and had a broken binding, and we were going to review what we thought of the book.
It was going to be called "Do You Have the Money to Be a Kiss Fan?" issue. And you know what? It's another promise. We promised a history review. So I think we should come with it. I think we should add that to the queue and do a episode on history. That'd be fun.
I think you're right. I think you're right. And I like the idea of us continuing to pull things from the zine to make the podcast happen. But I also love the fact that we've come up with so many more ideas in the years since then. And we have done so many more episodes on interesting things, met more Kiss fans that we can talk to this stuff about. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. That is Rip and Destroy issue number 1, one and only, one and done from 1995. The the little zine that launched a podcast. So that pretty much wraps up the night of the paper hat. We are done celebrating the first anniversary of Rip and Destroy. We hope you've enjoyed this look at the original Rip and Destroy fanzine. And I do have one more surprise for everybody here, including you, Mike. If you enjoyed this look at Rip and Destroy, if you are a fanzine aficionado and collector, I'm going to put a link in the description of this episode where you can order your very own reprint copy of Rip and Destroy Fanzine number 1. Yes, that's right, folks. There is a special podcast anniversary edition of Rip and Destroy now available. Unfortunately, we can't sell it for $1. I think it's like $7 or something. It's a print-on-demand publication that is on much nicer paper. I've scanned it directly off the original zine. I've added a few extra pages telling you about the podcast and about
No
the origin of
way.
the zine, and you can go get it now. So if you're a nerd and a collector and a fan of the podcast, or you just want to see what this was all about and how stupid we were when we were 21, go follow that link and you can get yourself a fresh copy of Rip and Destroy number 1.
That is incredible. When did you put that up?
I haven't yet. It's going up between now and the time that we publish.
I got goosebumps, man. That's incredible. There's new pages.
Yeah, and I am going to, um, I've got an email ready to go.
I absolutely love it. This is amazing.
I am firing off an email to you right now with the full PDF.
Thank you for that. I tell you what, buy it, bring it to Vegas in September. We'll draw all over it. We'll have a blast. Well done, sir. That's goddamn, that's incredible.
We're givers, and
This
we
is true.
continue to give. So I don't know,
Absolutely love it.
man. If for right now, you can always drop us a line at Rip and Destroy Podcast at gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at Rip and Destroy Podcast. Like and subscribe our stuff on YouTube and on Spotify. And I don't know, man. Maybe it's time to do issue 2.
I'm thinking so. Special thanks to Sleazy P. Martini, to
Yes.
Mark Ragman Price, to our beautiful
Yes.
wives, and to all of you for being such an important part of this project. Thank you.
And here's to another year.
Happy anniversary! Happy anniversary! Happy anniversary! Happy anniversary!
Kill the power, Phil. Kill the power.